Hey there, Indy Lockwood, Lockwood College Prep. Quick video here. There were two articles that came out in the New York Times recently about 529s, which I encourage you to read about because there were some changes that the big, beautiful bill just instituted, and they're pretty interesting. But where I thought that these two articles were a little incomplete was about the impact of having a 529 on your financial aid eligibility. So let me just, I'm not going to summarize these, but one of them is called, and this one's really focusing on the new changes from the big beautiful bill, which gives you more flexibility in terms of using the 529 plan. So it's for trade colleges and dental hygienist, airline mechanic. Those are trade types of educations, and then occupational licenses. This is self-serving, but some tutoring, right? Which is something that we offer at our firm. And the other article is about other vehicles that some families are thinking about in order to save for college, not just the 529. So just a quick set of thoughts here on the 529 pros and cons. The question about the 529 and financial aid eligibility is not whether it penalizes you, it's how much it penalizes you. Because the very same government that gives you educational tax and tax benefits to save for college will also take away the other benefits in terms of qualifying for need-based financial aid under the federal rules, because the 529 is an included asset, meaning it penalizes you if you have a 529. And that's generally a penalty of 5.64% of the total amount of the 529. So if you had $100,000 in a 529, hypothetically, you would lose $5,640 up to $5,640 every year that you had that $100,000 saved. So it's not necessarily that much. However, some private colleges, I suspect, I cannot prove this, it's like a conspiracy theorist type thing, I suspect still penalize you for having a 529 under the old rules, which is a child asset, not a parent asset, and that carries a penalty of 25%. So that $100,000 hypothetical amount, $25,000 penalty or reduction per year. Now, one of these articles, I can't remember which one, talks about one of these families not saving in the 529, eschewing the 529 in favor of other types of savings. So one of the types of savings that I think families should consider, and you can even do this at the last minute, by the way, because we see a lot of, we're sort of one of the things we do is we act as a late stage college planner. So sometimes we see people shuffling assets around, repositioning assets or sheltering them. So whether you're in a late stage sort of situation where you've got a kid headed to school before, in the next year or two, or you're planning earlier, you might want to also consider exempt assets. So the 529 is an included asset with a penalty of either 5.64% or up to 25%, whereas exempt assets carry a zero penalty. And one of these articles, I think it was this one, probably because they mentioned a life insurance agent in this article, talked about the stashing funds in insurance product, because insurance products with cash value are exempt entirely on the FAFSA, on the free application for federal student aid. So that $100,000 that penalizes you anywhere from $5,600 to $25,000 would penalize you zero if it was an insurance product. The other exempt asset on the FAFSA that we see occasionally parents sheltering their funds with is annuities. Annuities are also exempt entirely on the FAFSA. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, in contrast to the person cited in that New York Times article. However, so I will say that I'm an amateur at that type of stuff. I don't sell annuities or insurance products, but they can help you pick up some eligibility. What you have to look out for, though, is if you're selling a 529 or some other investment to shelter your funds in one of those exempt assets, you've got to look at what are the tax consequences. If you have a 529, there might be a penalty that is associated with the gains that you have in the account. I believe it's 10% of the gains. So that's on one side of the transaction. On the other side of the transaction, you've got to really understand the terms and conditions of whatever the new account is that you're depositing your funds into, meaning how long, so they may be exempt on the FAFSA, but you also need to look at, how long is your money locked up? What are the fees? What are the downsides? What are the risks? That type of thing. And then overall, there's a few other moving parts, like are you even eligible for aid? Is your income in the right place? There's no magic bright line. I'm not going to discuss that here because that's a whole nother presentation. But income is much more important in the financial aid formulas, and where you apply is super important because some colleges are far more generous than others. Some are not generous at all. Usually what people find out too late is that the state universities, the big public ones, don't really have a lot of money to give. Even though they have a lower sticker price, they tend to be very, very stingy with cash because they don't have the endowments, whereas private colleges have a higher sticker price, but they tend to be a lot more generous. So like I said, there's the stars really have to align in order for it to make sense for you to shelter funds, to pick up more financial aid. But when it works really well. I would say best guess that in terms of the people that we consult with, possibly 20% of the families that we encounter who reach out to us can benefit from this type of consulting, from this type of sheltering of assets. There are other ways to cut your college costs, but in terms of specifically sheltering assets so they are invisible, quote unquote, off your balance sheet for the financial aid formulas, that can help a minority of families. If you have any interest in talking to us, just reach out to us. Our website is lockwoodcollegeprep.com. And if you're watching this on YouTube or elsewhere, we'll put links in there. But the best bet is to go to that website, and you'll see a way to book a call with us. Hope this helps. Have a great day. Thanks for watching and listening.